a little part of how Big Meech got brought down, because you would feel like someone like him, so powerful at the top of the family, is very insulated, and he believed he was. This was part of the reason for starting BMF, for starting the name BMF. He wanted to move into legit music. So that was his escape plan. But it actually ended up hurting him in the long run, because it was a name to attach to a lot of things. And they were getting really flashy as this investigation started. So BMF was what created, I think, in 2000, 1999, 2000. But they didn't start advertising it till 2003. Now, Dexter Sosa Hussey, he details kind of how he believes they started this investigation into BMF. It was a Drano investigation that started around 2001, 2002 that started with a jail call. A phone call in 2001 from jail with a guy named Harold and Tanya Welch. There was a husband and wife. She was upset about like something with her kids. She had just had a kid with Harold, and a lot of information was given to Harold over the phone about BMF and Meech and everything. Just the whole thing. So they had all these phone. Jail calls are recorded. You don't want to be speaking on a jail call with all this kind of stuff. So they had like beginnings of an investigation here. Now, Big Meech was brought down with a series of snitches, and it all starts at the bottom. So if you know BMF, they were like the suppliers in the USA. They had a direct connect to Mexico, and of course, I'm sure that it started in Colombia, made its way to Mexico, and then so there's so many levels before a custy gets his little 8-ball, whatever. So it's like they were moving like thousands of these keys, and these low-level dealers were picking up from another guy. Okay, so it all starts with these like low-level dealers. Now, this is around 2003, 2004, right here, when all of this stuff starts to connect and lead the feds to Meech. Around this time, Meech has billboards up in Atlanta. BMF is yours, all that. They're pushing Blue Da Vinci as their artist. They're behind a lot of artists, like associated acts like T.I., Jeezy. Meech just loved music and supported music, so he would pay to get these guys records played. Meech controlled the club scene. Buckhead in Atlanta, it's all buildings now, but it used to be just the club scene in Atlanta. There's still a lot of clubs around there, but it used to be the club scene, and Meech was buying out these clubs like every night. He'd go to a different club, spend 50 grand, 100 grand. Everybody had, he was making it. He was going to Strokers. That's not in Buckhead, but he was going to like Strokers also, and pinups. These strip clubs, because a lot of records were broken in the strip clubs back then, as well. So, anyways, here's the billboards, crazy, So, 2 Chainz and people like that would copy this later on. I mean, everybody wants to be kind of like BMF. So, anyways, they get led to a guy named Hoskins. Now, first they start following these low-level dealer guys. And this all leads up to a guy named ODog. Eventually, Omari and Mccree, probably heard of him. But it starts out with these low-level dealers and his name was Smurf. And Smurf needed work, right? So he was supplied by a guy named Hoskins, and Hoskins got his work from BMF. So, basically, Smurf called Hoskins for work, and the feds had a line on Hoskins. They had a wiretap. So he calls him for work. Is everything? Da 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 da. They go back and forth. They arrange a meeting in Atlanta. Of course, they trail this guy Smurf to Howell Mill Road. He's tailed by the feds, and they get a line on Hoskins now. They know what he looks like. They're able to follow where he lives. I think they even met at his apartment building, which is crazy. Okay, so now they're able, after a few days, to tap Hoskins' phone. Hoskins is Smurfs Connect, right? So they tap his phone, and when they tap Hoskins' phone, they're able to intercept the next deal, which is even bigger days later. Now they're trailing Hoskins, and they got the wiretaps on him, and they hear a big deal's about to happen. They follow him to the spot, that his apartment building, when 2 cars pull up. They see the transaction happen, and they pick up the guys that just bought some work from Hoskins. As they're getting picked up, they call Hoskins, giving them more audio wiretaps, saying, "Hey, we're about to get pulled over, man." He's like, "Yo, man, don't call me, man. Like, just run, do what you got to do, but don't contact me." They're probably worried, they're probably thinking in their head, "Yo, is this guy being tailed? Like, how are we getting pulled over?" The feds have a regular cop car pull them over. They don't run or anything. I mean, they see a weapon in the car. They search the car. They find a bunch of keys and everything, right? So they play these wiretaps for these guys, and they give it up, because they don't really need them to give it up, but they give it up anyways, and they're able to learn more about Hoskins. And they pull Hoskins in now because these guys, are able to, corroborate everything that they were dealing with Hoskins. He's their connect, blah, blah, blah. So they pull Hoskins in. Hoskins caves. Hoskins was supposed to do 15 years, okay? He was pulled in Clayton County, for trafficking. But, he was supposed to get 15 years if you look in all these records, right? 15 years. And I think he's let out, let's see. So he goes in 2005, and he's let out in 2009, where he's let out on parole, okay? But here's the key. This is why he was let out so early. I mean, that's a huge time reduction. He gave up ODog. We all know ODog from the song Air Forces with Jeezy. We all know that
share,
song.
comment, and subscribe.
And you already know, Doug, 745s back to back, me and ODog. All right. So anyways, this is Omari Mccree, a.k.a. Master Splinter. Okay. So anyways, they... with Hoskins, he makes a deal for reduced sentence, 15 to 4 years, and he gives up the connect to BMF. Now, he talks about BMF. He's like, "Yo, these guys run the city. I'll give up the top guys there, reduce my time." He sings Sinatra, gives him everything, okay? And then basically... they're on to this guy named ODog now. I think he called ODog a few times. Eventually, ODog says too much on the phone, and they're able to obtain a wire on ODog. And I don't know if they met or anything, but it was enough for them to get a wiretap on ODog. And that's all they cared about. They just want to work their way up the chain to the top guys, okay?
Subscribe to the channel.
Now, BMF was already a target to the feds, so this was working out perfect for them, This is a happy mistake. Just working up the trail, they eventually get to BMF. Because BMF has these billboards, they're making all this noise in the clubs. There's, a lot of violence happening in Buckhead clubs and everything, and there's so many members in BMF at this point. Dexter Hussey says this in his interview. he was upset with Meech because Meech had so many people around. Now, Hussey's been with him since Detroit, since the beginning, 50 Boys, right? 50 Boys was in the 90s, right? 80s and 90s. And now it's early 2000s, and Meech has probably 200-300 people around claiming BMF. You can't control 300 people, man. And you can't be completely insulated. Plus, he's also trying to make things look good when he goes to the club. I mean, they're going in. I mean, I know you've seen Jeezy's old DVDs before he got on. I mean, and you've seen the Smack DVDs with Blue Da Vinci in them. You know, they had Ferraris, they had Lambos, they had Rolls Royces. Everybody was driving a car that cost at least $150,000. So, anyways. Let's move on with ODog, okay? Even in the Genius notes, it's so funny. They're like, ODog's nickname was his nickname. Omari Mccree is a well-known member of the Black Mafia family operation. ODog is a snitch, partly responsible for bringing down BMF. I love these notations because people make them. He served 5 years of 15-year sentence due to testifying against Big Meech. He actually didn't testify. He just gave him I don't think he had to testify. He gave him enough information to lead him to the next guy, You know, it's just a big chain of snitches, okay? Here's the Air Force's video. You can see even, that's Bull right in the background. He does a lot of interviews. He seems like a cool cat. He did his time and came home. He stood tall. These videos also were great for the feds. They could put names to people and stuff. Like, I think there's a Blue Da Vinci on a Smack DVD where he, I don't know if that's ODog, because I don't think that's Meech. Meech is a bigger guy. You can't tell because the quality's so bad in the video, but this is him right here. So, anyways. That must be him in the video because that's right when he says 7:45 back to back, me and ODog. You know. So, anyways, this is Omari, and so then basically getting back to this. So the feds are on to ODog. ODog. This is what happened. So Hoskins calls ODog. They get enough connections. So now they're onto ODog. Now a shooting happens at a club called Atrium. Okay, this is the inside Atrium. This is the outside Atrium. I don't even think Atrium exists anymore. Okay, I mean, this is a club from like 15 years ago. If it exists, it's not the same. Okay, it's just the name. Anyways, Atrium. Shooting happens. ODog, for some reason, is a suspect. Okay, he gets pulled in. Him and this guy named Jeffrey Lee, or whatever his name, Jeffrey something. They're partners. They're always together. Somehow Big Meech is dragged in after this at pinups and questioned about this Atrium shooting because BMF, there's so many members in BMF that, you know, of course there's witnesses and stuff and people were like, yo, he's a part of BMF because it was so, at this point it's like 04, 03, 04. BMF is huge, okay? Everybody's talking about BMF. Imagine if there was social media back then. They would have gone down in a year because so many people would have been talking about it. But just the chatter, everybody was like, yo, they spent $50,000 a night. You know, these guys spend money, bro. They were making tons of money, spending money with a lot of money, and there's hate, there's violence, there's just a lot of stuff, okay? So the cops and the feds did not like BMF. There was just too much problems. And that's the problem with having too many people claiming one thing. I mean, this is kind of a problem that Lil Durk's having right now with OTF. I mean, just another guy is getting accused of something today, I heard, you know? So anyways, when you get that and then they start building these cases against all these people, you start to become a problem, a nuisance to them, and they want to get the top guy. So anyways. Wiretaps revealed off of ODog's phone, right? They get these meeting spots that are named, right? The elevator, the gate, Space Mountain, the kitchen. Each one of these spots, they had tons of houses. around of Atlanta. So I guess the elevator was a house with an elevator. The gate was something with a gate. I think it turns out it was a gas station, right? Then Space Mountain, that was, I could only imagine that was somewhere near Stone Mountain, right? Then you got the kitchen, which is a house. Turns out it's a house with a big kitchen. So after Meech is pulled over in pinups and questioned about the Atrium shooting, which ODog is connected to, right? They know this. He gets out, right? He gets out a day later. He bails out, and his assistant calls ODog, and he's like, "Yo, Meech wants to meet you. He wants to meet you at the elevator." And he's like, "Why?" And he's like, "I didn't do anything." He's like, "Nah, he wants to meet you. He's not going to call you on the phone. Like, he's laying low right now. You got to go meet him." So, of course, the feds follow him and get an idea of where the elevator is. And, as time goes on, there's more and more of this questioning about, they learn that the one of the guys, that cop from ODog, was arrested. That's the guy that obviously led him to the whole thing that we were just talking about. What's his name again? Hoskins, right? They learned that Hoskins was arrested, and he's doing, and he's gonna start doing time, and they're like, the Atrium shooting. They're like, this guy is just too hot right now. So, and they learned that that Omari was brought in for the Atrium shooting. So they're like, you know what, man? You guys need to chill out, stop, Now, Omari didn't stop, okay, like Meech wanted to, so, he was still moving around. Think about it, you're moving around in, like, a Porsche. He's driving a Porsche, right? You're hot out here. And you're driving around in a Porsche, bro. Like, not even anything that blends in. So, anyways, I mean, who makes plays in such a high-end vehicle? You would want like a Honda or something, right? To just blend in a little better. So, anyways, ODog on the wiretap starts acting shook. Like, he knows, yo, I feel like I'm gonna be going down for something. He's seeing vans around his house and everything, and he's getting nervous, right? So he calls this guy Jeffrey, like we said, his partner, and he's like, "Yo, man, there's vans outside my house, man." He's paranoid, right? Talking on the phone, dude. Like, think about it. The Wire is out at this point. Talking about The Wire, the show, right? They show you how they tap people. If you study any criminal history or how they took down the Gaudis and everything, it's all wiretaps, bro. Some form of a wiretap. You should not be doing any talking at all, right? Who turned out to be the smart one on The Wire? Marlowe, right? Because he stopped talking on the phone, right? He was doing codes, and eventually, they break these codes, but you got to keep switching it up. So, anyways, calls up Jeffrey, and they're talking about, we got to move these clothes. The feds aren't dumb, they know the clothes probably work, right? So, they scramble. ODog's driving around his Porsche. Jeffrey's like, "Yo, I got a perfect plan. Let's keep it at my girl's spot." They move it over there. Jeffrey's girl finds out about it. She's like, "Yo, get this stuff out of here." Think about it. They're tapping Jeffrey's phone too, so they're hearing this. "Yo, I don't want this here anymore. This is dirty." Da da da. So, anyways, Jeffrey's scrambling over there. He's calling ODog, "Yo, I got to get this stuff out of here. We got to move it somewhere else," right? So Jeffrey goes over there. His girl's tripping. They take the 10 keys that they had moved from Omari and Jeffrey's spot to her house, and they put it in the car. They're driving off. The feds are like, "All right, this is their time." They pull them over. They get to work, and they release Jeffrey and his girlfriend. Right then and there, they're cooperating. It's over, okay? So, but they kept the work, right? Think about it. They owe Meech now $300,000. Omari and Jeffrey owe Meech $300,000 because they didn't, when when Meech didn't want anything, he wanted nothing to do with that stuff, but nobody went and picked up the work from them, right? And nobody was probably going to because they were hot, right? So it's like, just call it a loss, like whatever. But still, in their minds, they're like, they're gonna want this money eventually, right? So, anyways, they take the kilos and they keep them. So now, what happens after this? They basically kind of vanish, and eventually, some other things transpire, and they pick up Omari, aka ODog, and he's questioned.
Subscribe, where's live?
And he details, how he found out about BMF. Well, he said, it wasn't BMF in the beginning. 1999, I joined him, and then 2002, I joined what's called BMF, and details the members in the beginning. He gives locations. They're like, what's this spot? The elevator. Oh, it's a house over here. What's the gate? The gate is where J-Bo, you've seen J-Bo recently going at Blue Da Vinci and everything. J-Bo was second in command to Meech. He was like the guy that was insulating Big Meech, right? So J-Bo was the connect at the gate, which turned out to be a chevron on Roswell Road. I'll show you that right here. Wait, hold on, let me go back. It turned out to be a chevron on Roswell Road. J-Bo would meet him here. They called it the gate, probably because maybe there's a gate around there. I don't know. They called it the gate, right? Then he details J-Bo works for Meech, and Meech is the one who gives the okay to give the keys out and everything. And guess what? They're just, from there, they got a case, man. They know that Meech is at the top. They know J-Bo's the next guy. They're putting, names and faces together. And then they start building what you see on a billboard, on these bulletin boards, the top guy, the next guy in charge. Wait, let me see if I have that. BMF Fed board, maybe that'll come up. I forget what you call it. BMF Fed case. Let's see if they have it. I see it all the time, but that's when they get these bulletin boards where you see like the top guy in command and everything, and this was a big blow to the whole case, man. It's crazy. And at this point, I think it's 04, and then they just keep building the case from there. I'll detail other snitches that took them down later, but this is one of the main ones, ODog. Dude, you know what's funny about this? Just to wrap this up, this is why mobsters you see in movies take people out, because it's like they're gonna flip, man. A lot of you people aren't built to do time. That's the most dangerous thing, is that you got all these people out there and they know too much, and if they get pulled in and they can't do any time, a lot of people did do their time. Some people didn't, and they talk for a reduced sentence, and they can't even. I think he ended up doing a couple of years, and then he was let out when everybody else got